What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel for the Week 9 Waiver Wire show. I'm your host, Dylan Clemons, and I'm here, as I am, every single week, giving you my top 6 waiver claims of the week. Before I jump into all that, I want to remind you to please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Hit that bell for notifications so you know when we go live or when we upload a new video. And then head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans and check out our memberships where you can become a all-access member for just $9.99 a month, and you get access to our award-winning rankings, access to our F6P Discord where you get custom advice for all your leagues and DFS builds. We're talking basketball, we're talking NFL, we're talking DFS hockey, all that in the Discord. And you get access to our entire F6P team over there, along with our DFS projections and tools. So make sure you head on over to, once again, fantasy6pack.net/plans and become an all-access member. But now, after a little bit of the promotions right there, let me jump right into my top 6 waiver wire targets of the week. The first guy I have for you here is Rashid Shaheed, wide receiver of the New Orleans Saints, only rostered in just 27.2% of leagues. And this guy, he is the definition of a boomer bust player, right? He's wide receiver 25 on the season. I bet you didn't know that. That's when I saw that was just wild to me. The last 3 weeks, he's finished as a top 5 wide receiver twice. And he's also had a top 10 finish this season. There's just a problem. His other weekly finishes are wide receiver 50, wide receiver 43, wide receiver 64, wide receiver 60, wide receiver 58. At this point in Shaheed's career, he is just kind of a poor man's Deshaun Jackson, if you remember back when he was at his peak. He is the absolute deep threat in this offense when Derek Carr is chucking the ball, and you know he likes to do that. He has the third highest average depth of target in the NFL and has seen the 4th most deep targets. They get the Bears this weekend, whose secondary has been played a little bit better, but they've also been known to give up the big play this season. So I would not be surprised if we see Rashid Shaheed go for a long one this weekend, and boom, for your fantasy lineups with 4 teams on bye this week, why not take a shot on the boomer bust guy? So it might pay off. The next guy I want to talk about is that is Emari Demercado. Guys, this is his backfield, at least for one more week until James Conner is allowed to come off IR next week. He still split a little bit with Keontae Ingram. He played 43 snaps to Ingram's 29, but he saw the bulk of the work. Mercado saw 20 carries for 78 yards and finished as a top 24 running back in back-to-back weeks. Plus, Arizona was down most of this game, and it was a 2-touchdown plus lead for Baltimore most of the game, and Demercado still saw 20 carries in the blowout loss. For him to be rostered in under 50% of leagues was just very, very weird for me to see. They get the Browns this weekend, who on paper have been pretty good against running backs. However, the past couple weeks, they've been beat up on the ground a little bit. They allowed 6.7 yards per carry to the Seahawks last week. And then the week previous, the Colts ran for 4.2 yards per carry for a total of 168 yards as a team. If you need a bye week replacement this week in a flex spot, RB2 spot, Demercado is kind of your guy. If he's sitting out there, he's going to give you 8 to 12 half PPR fantasy points, and you will take that and run at this point of the season with 4 teams on bye. This next guy, this really surprised me that he was still under 50% owned, and it's probably just because he's boring and he's just a slot receiver. And let's be fair, the Cincinnati Bengals offense has been awful for most of the season. But coming out of the bye week, Joe Burrow said and looked like he was 100%. And this Bengals offense just looked fantastic against a really solid 49ers defense. Boyd only saw 3 targets in this one, but he caught all 3 of them for 40 yards and found the end zone, finishing as wide receiver 24. That is now back-to-back games played in which he's finished as a top 24 receiver. Well, you might say he's the third option in the passing game. He's just a slot receiver. He only saw 3 targets last week. That's his first week since week 1 that he's seen less than 7 targets, everybody. So he is seeing the volume. He just happened to not last weekend, but he made up for it with the touchdown scores. So if Tyler Boyd's sitting out on your waiver wire for some reason, use that number 1 waiver claim. Use a decent amount of fab on him because he can be an every week starter when this offense is humming. And it looks like it is starting to go. And they play the Bills this week, who have allowed the 9th most fantasy points to opposing slot receivers, according to Razzball.com. And Boyd has made a living out of lining up in the slot. And I want to say he's top 10 in slot snaps in the NFL this year. Go pick up Boyd and start him this week if you need wide receiver 3. The next guy here this is where it's starting to get a little bit gross. These next 2 running backs, and that's Devin Singletary. I know he hasn't produced, but he is starting to eat into Dameon Pierce's workload. Pierce still led the backfield in snaps 25-23 and carries 12-10, but those numbers are getting much closer than before. Singletary isn't sexy by any means, but this coaching staff trusts him. He's going to do all the little things right. He's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's going to pass block. You can trust him to be in the right place at the right time. Something that it seems like they really can't on Dameon Pierce right now. And to be honest with you, Dameon Pierce just has been downright not efficient. So if it keeps trending that way, I don't know if this will ever be Devin Singletary's lead role, but as long as it's a 50-50 timeshare, you can plug Singletary in a pinch. But in all honesty, I probably don't want to start either of these guys when my teams are at full strength in this Houston backfield because the snaps are so close and everything. And that's surprising with Dameon Pierce because last year we saw him be the workhorse in that offense, and that's just not what he has been and not what he's been lately. He has not been very good this year. The next guy is another guy in a committee right now, and that's Royce Freeman, who would have thought in 2023 that we would be talking about Royce Freeman still. This is still Henderson's backfield, although Freeman still did pretty well. He saw 9 carries to Henderson's 12, but it was Freeman who found the end zone to upset all the fantasy managers who started Darrell Henderson. Henderson was still fine because he got involved in the passing game. That's just not what Freeman is. Freeman is an in-between the tackles grinder, plotter type, but he did average 4.9 yards per carry, almost 5 yards a carry, when Henderson just averaged 2.6. I don't know how much more Sean McVay is going to deal with Henderson being inefficient because he has been his whole career, but like Devin Singletary in Houston, McVay seems to trust Darrell Henderson. But once again, if you're in a pinch and need a warm body to throw in your RB2 spot or flex, Royce Freeman, only rostered in under 20% of leagues, might be worth a shot. It's definitely gross, but maybe he finds the end zone in a good matchup against the Packers, who have allowed the 5th most fantasy points to opposing running backs this season. So my co-host for the Friday show always says there's 3 things in the world that are certain, and that's death, taxes, and the Packers getting gashed in the running game. So Michael Plant likes to say that, so shout out to him. This last guy I want to talk to you about, and let's get weird. Let's definitely get weird, and let's go with Demario Douglas, the wide receiver for the New England Patriots, rostered in just 2.1% of leagues, or Demario Pop Douglas, like the kids like to call him. This wide receiver room is getting pretty thin. Kendrick Bourne, unfortunately, who led my waiver wire video off last week, he went down with a knee injury that does not look good. Devontae Parker also left this game early. Juju Smith-Schuster been dealing with a knee injury and only played 18 snaps this past game. That opens the door to Pop Douglas, guys. He's a rookie, if you don't know. He's extremely explosive. He's in the 96th percentile in explosive rating, and in burst score and on playerprofiler.com. So you just get the ball into this guy's hands and let him go to work. What is surprising is that Pop has seen 13 targets over the past 2 games, and he only played fewer snaps than Kendrick Bourne. So he is getting the opportunity, as he played a season high 77% of snaps. I think Douglas is going to lean his wide receivers and targets most weeks now with everybody going down. And like I said, they're trying to manufacture touches. He even gets touches in the backfield as well. If you're looking for a dart throw, if you're looking for a ceiling play, maybe Demario Douglas breaks a big one this weekend. And guess what? They play Washington, who every single week is giving up a big week to an opposing wide receiver. So why not Douglas this week? Why not? But that does it, everybody, for my Week 9 waiver wire additions for this week. I do have a list over in the article of more guys over at fantasy6pack.net, but you have to become an all-access member, and I told you how to do that at the start of the show. So yeah, head on over to fantasy6pack.net, check out the waiver wire article as well, and all the other awesome content we got over there. The injury impact article that Michael Bonney does is top notch. Joe Bond does a usage article that is just top of the line as well, giving you awesome stats and all that good stuff. And then once again, head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans and check it out over there and become a member. But until next time, I'm Dylan Clemons. You can follow me on Twitter at dclemens2222, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks.